Welcome to the Prancing Horse Podcast. My name is Jordan, and I'm your executive producer. Ajay's here with me today, and today we are going to do a review of the new Ferrari movie. Our goal here on the Prancing Horse Podcast is to share the history and culture of the Ferrari brand with current but also future generations to come. So buckle up.
And let's talk Ferrari history.
Vroom, vroom.
Okay, but also kind of maybe
do it better.
Ferrari news.
Do it better.
Here we go. So, Jordan, the Ferrari movie.
Yes, AJ.
What did you think?
2 out of 10.
2 out of 10.
Yeah, zero hesitation there.
Wow. You didn't like it?
I'm not into politics or racing or emotionally invested movies, and it was all of the above.
Yeah, fair enough. I gave it a solid 9 out of 10.
And we are so different.
Yeah, well, that happens sometimes. You also did not like The Art of Racing in the Rain. Am I wrong?
You are correct.
Yeah.
I did cry, though. Like, that one actually captivated me a little bit, as much as I did not love it. So
you're a poor judge of motorsports movies.
That's probably fair.
That's probably fair.
But you know what? I tried. I watched the whole thing, and I took great notes, and I have a couple opinions about the movie. So that's what you asked for. Why would you give it a 9 out of 10, AJ? You asked me why I gave it a 2 out of 10. I want to know why you gave it a 9 out of 10.
I thought it was actually pretty good, pretty accurate.
That was descriptive.
Yeah.
Good and accurate.
Good and accurate. Captivating and accurate.
What captivated you about this movie?
Well, to be honest, they touched on a lot of points that were arguably a little bit unknown.
Yeah, you had mentioned something about Enzo loving trains.
No, I think they captured Europeans. I think they captured Europe's obsession with trains.
Europe's obsession with trains.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, Europe. So if you go to Italy, it's very
You said
common.
his in your email.
Nobody asked you. No, so trains in Europe are still very much a thing. And especially the high-speed trains are still very much today very important. And so I think they captured I think they captured Europe's obsession with trains very well.
He was in one scene. It was a big scene.
It was an important
a lot of
scene.
train in that scene.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Tell me what you thought about Enzo's personality and character traits in this movie.
I think they did a really good job of capturing his obsession with what they were doing with race cars at the time. So when you think about the fact that he is literally timing cars while sitting at mass based on gunshots from the track, and when we see Portago get off the train and try to introduce himself to Enzo, Enzo completely ignores him. Because at this point, he has drivers, he has staff, he doesn't need anybody. But then, while they were sitting there in mass, he literally times the fact that Maserati beat their lap record. And I don't actually know if this is true or not, but I certainly think it captures his personality at the time in a nutshell.
So he's obsessive and doesn't care about anything other than work.
Yeah, kind of.
Cool guy.
One thing I think they did really well was capture Enzo's aggressive management style. So him tapping his watch, telling his test driver that he was glad that he could join them, was pretty clear in stating his displeasure with that driver being late. And I think they did a great job of just capturing Enzo's personality in business there in one shot, even though somebody showing up late to an event is maybe not such a big deal. To Enzo, it was a big deal.
Yeah, on your point about his management style, I think at the end of the movie when Laura decides that she's going to all of a sudden rally behind her husband who she hates, she rallies him by describing his management style as like aggressive and paranoid and vindictive and cutthroat. And she literally like rallies behind him by telling him how basically cutthroat he is. So I think they did do a good job really capturing his management style in that way.
Yeah, if my competitor was drowning, I would stick a hose right in his mouth.
Right.
What about the point where they were at the track there after Maserati set a new lap record and he told Pratago he does not need another driver, and then when his current driver Castellotti dies just moments later, he tells him to call his office on Monday.
What a dick.
Yeah, kinda. Not even a dick, just ruthless. It was very intense.
I feel like in that moment, if I were Enzo, I don't know what else I would do other than say that, though.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Oh, no, you just, okay, apparently I do need a new driver.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you on Monday.
Yeah. Call the office on Monday. No big deal.
I feel like in that moment, as Enzo, I have a little empathy because I also wouldn't know how to respond to the situation because it takes a moment to process things like, oh, somebody just died in front of me. That takes a minute to process. But ultimately, like this guy who wants a job is right here and now his job just opened up in front of my eyeballs. So
yeah. Do you think he offered him health insurance?
You and I both know the answer to that question. This is the Ferrari industry we're talking about.
You know what's funny? This whole situation reminds me of a really interesting quote I heard a very long time ago when I was really young, which was, win on Sunday, sell on Monday.
What does that mean?
It means if you win a race on Sunday, the idea is that when you get back to the dealership on Monday, people are buying. You have buyers.
So he should have started producing more cars.
Well, he wasn't a winner yet.
Oh, yeah.
Because the truth is
because
that
he was still an assassin at that point.
yeah. And a widowmaker.
Right.
Because anybody racing a car did not know what they were going up against.
A man of many talents.
Yeah. And the truth is that Enzo needed a partner. We actually outlined this in a previous history episode that Enzo was running out of money and needed cash. But I think that he could use a little love in the face of tact in the movie.
He could use a little love in the face of tact in life. His poor wife. I think when she shot the wall next to his head, she probably should have just shot his knee instead. Like, he deserved some sort of damage. She didn't have to kill him. I validate that, in like not aiming for his head is cool, but also she probably should have shot him at least in the knee, like caused him some bodily harm that he would have to pay for the rest of his life.
But his car didn't start.
Don't give a shit.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
She should have shot him in the knee. I would have.
Thank you for not shooting me, I guess. One of the things I found very interesting was that while all of this was going on, there was a guy at the side of the track with a stopwatch and a clipboard who was probably timing, making notes during the lap, and it was probably pretty accurate. Like, this was one of my many duties when I was going racing because I was not talented enough to drive. And so my job was to man the radios and keep track of laps, timing, in laps, out laps, any driver notes or comments. And so based on my experience, this was probably pretty accurate. But can you imagine putting a driver in a car, strapping them in, they do their out lap, they do one flyer, and then before they finish that lap, they just like go hurtling into the grandstands and die.
Yeah, when do you stop the timer? Like when they land?
I would
like when their body hits the ground or when the car hits the ground?
I think it depends on how dedicated you are. Like, I probably wouldn't have stopped the timer. I probably would have been much more concerned with taking care of them.
Right. There's no taking care of that, honey.
But you try.
They made sure that his body was in pieces when it landed.
Yeah, but you still
One of those dramatic effects that I actually kind of halfway appreciated about the movie is like they tried to make them look dead. You know?
Yeah, but you're a first responder. You still try.
They look a lot more pale when they're actually dead.
The CGI was pretty rough, actually. The CGI could use some work.
Yeah. No, in all reality, that's a very traumatic experience for anybody, and I can't actually imagine watching that happen.
That would be rough.
In person. You are correct. Yeah, I can't imagine that.
Did you notice that at some point they went to the Cavallino restaurant?
I did. It is not spelled the way I thought it was.
What do you What do you mean it wasn't spelled the way you thought it was?
It's not spelled the way it sounds. There are extra letters and H's and things in there that I didn't know existed.
There's not a single H.
There is.
Please Google it.
Watch the movie again.
Your laptop is right in front of you. Please Google it.
I'm going to.
Yes, please do. Because I know how to spell Cavallino.
I want to see the front of the restaurant. I'm just going to pull up the movie again, though, honestly.
Yeah, do it.
I'm going to need to. And then I'll prove you right.
Now is a great time to shout out our friends, Brandon and Sabrina Brown. They may or may not have the same last name as us, but they host a podcast called the Somebody Call BS podcast. And they are killing it over there. And they keep talking about how great me and Jordan's, how our duo podcasts are, so to speak, like our interview style, conversation style podcasts are, and how organized it is. And so this one is for you because it's not very organized. We just winged it.
There's an H somewhere in there.
There is not an H.
We're going to watch the movie again.
Yeah.
We're going to scroll through right to that point, though, because honestly, he told me the whole time that movie got better and better. I watched 2 hours and 10 minutes.
It's pretty good.
It didn't get better.
It was pretty good.
It's the same all the way through.
So, what do you remember about the Cavallino restaurant?
Not much. Other than there was an H in the name, and it took me by surprise.
There is not an H in the name.
Okay, well, still it wasn't spelled the way I thought it was.
You want a little fact check here?
Tell me about the restaurant. What is it that I was supposed to remember about it that I didn't? Because clearly we're getting at something here.
So they met at the restaurant.
Cute.
about the 1957 Millimilia.
Oh.
And them meeting there was probably pretty accurate. So the restaurant was actually built in 1950.
Are you talking about Nina and Enzo?
No.
Who are you talking about? They met during the war.
I was talking about the drivers and Enzo at the restaurant.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Way more sense.
They met. They had a meeting there about the 1957 Millimilia.
Gotcha.
You know, the one that killed road racing in Italy.
Right.
Which we talked about.
Yeah, it was a huge deal.
On our previous history episode.
It was a huge deal.
So.
That I know about.
Yeah, that you know about. Because you listen to every episode, right?
I do.
Yeah. You can't cuss on our podcast.
Sometimes afterwards and I go, what the?
So them meeting there at the Cavallino restaurant was probably pretty accurate. So the restaurant was actually built in 1950, and it was right across the street from the factory in Maranello.
The one that got bombed the second time?
No, that was the one in Modena.
Oh, okay. So the one in wherever,
Maranello
didn't get bombed yet.
I mean, it kind of did.
How does something kind of get
bombed?
bombed?
Well, you know, it's like...
How do you halfway bomb something?
Slight rubble.
What?
Slight rubble.
So the slight rubble bombing happened after this movie took place?
No, before. Way before.
Then it didn't...
You were talking about the bombing, not me. Fix your timeline.
Now I'm lost.
So if you...
Drama!
If you could afford a wristwatch at the time, you could...
I can't afford a wristwatch now.
You could set your wristwatch by Enzo's lunch schedule because it was said that he would be there every day at 12:30 for lunch. And he ate there so often that they gave him his own room.
OMG.
OMG. That's crazy. So...
That's not crazy. That's called the tism. He had the tism real bad and thrived on routine.
You can't say that.
Yes, I can.
No, Italians love their food.
And their routines, apparently.
No, they're very focused people when it comes to food.
And routine.
So when it was 12:30...
And watches and schedules and gunshots.
You can't have a gun in Italy.
Unless you're Laura. In which case, I'm going to utilize it poorly.
You know, that's a really good point.
And shoot at the wall instead of his kneecaps.
That's a really good point because the police, when I was in Italy, walked around with swords. They didn't even have guns. So how did she have a gun?
Because she's crazy. In all of the right ways. Like, honestly, if anybody out of the movie like that I want to be friends with, it's Laura. She's my kind of people.
Why does that not surprise me?
Slightly unhinged, but also like has enough self-control that she didn't shoot him in the head.
Do you think that Enzo's deal with Laura, when he offered her $500,000, clearly, was real? Like, he told her that if the deal with, I think it was Ford, went through, that he would give her $500,000 to do with whatever she wanted because of her stake in the company. Do you think that was real?
No. Not at all. I think that was 100% for dramatic effect.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that given what I know about Enzo's character and management style, he never would have given that to her, especially with how little he actually cared about her. He may have been trying to silence her. Like, there's a possibility that he did something in some such fashion to try to like get her to like not lose her bananas. But yeah, no.
So this is the part where we start getting into like fact checking. And so the whole movie was pretty much set in the time frame of 1957, and deals weren't started with the Ford Motor Company until 1963, and Fiat was not involved until a couple years after that. So if the deals were true, which they were not during this era. And this was likely added for dramatic effect, is the note that I had written down.
When did you say they started? The deal started?
1963 with Ford.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
cool. So I had a couple little nuggets that I actually did appreciate about the movie. Would you like to hear them?
Oh, yeah, I'd love them. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is a review.
There were good nuggets that I feel like
I'm
need
still listening.
highlighting.
I'm still listening. You're still pretty.
We just don't want.
Ooh, got her.
Glad I'm good for something. Go ahead, honey. Tell me.
No. I'm just saying, don't get ahead of yourself.
I mean, tell the fans. Tell them what you want to tell them.
Well, you're really pretty.
Shut up.
And we cannot get past Enzo and Laura's deal for $500,000, which is a lot of money.
We already said that we think it's false.
It is
negativity.
False. It
did not happen.
It is technically false.
But also in the movie, I appreciate that she was like, nope, I'm cashing it. Just because he told me I couldn't.
That's way past this point.
Just because he told me I couldn't. Tell me I can't do something. I'm telling you, I want to be her friend.
Can we also appreciate, even though he's a bit,
a jerk,
crazy, that he did not leave his wife's side?
He couldn't. It's illegal, remember?
Well,
his hands were literally tied.
That was a whole point.
He did leave her. In fact, he slept at Nina's house multiple times. He tried to get as far away from her as he could without.
Name right.
What is her name? Nina?
What is her name?
Nana? What's her name? Nanette? Nina? I thought it was Nina.
No.
What is it?
Lena Loudy.
Okay, whatever. Nina.
Lena, Nina. Nothing even close.
That is very close.
Can we talk about when Enzo went home?
When? To Lena's house or to his wife's
house?
Okay, what about it?
And their whole interaction at dinner where they cleared the table to
release some tension.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how absolutely boot shaking in the terms of Texas? Like if because we're in Texas, obviously. Can we just talk about how intense that interaction was?
So intense.
Yeah, for real. Based on my research, I feel like that interaction was probably pretty accurate.
Based off life circumstance, I feel like that interaction was probably very appropriate. How many times have you just been like, yeah, we need to not focus on our problems. We just need to release tension often. So
here is what I know. Laura is said to have frightened and, when needed, adored many people around her. But Enzo always had her back.
I think I definitely fall into the category of adored. Laura, she's amazing.
Good thing it's subjective.
Do you have a different opinion?
Yes, absolutely.
You would have fallen under the frightened of her category?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But she didn't even shoot him when she should have.
So
in at least the leg.
It was said that everybody at the factory wished that she would not come in. That, God forbid, Enzo got sick. Because if they had to deal with Laura, it was a bad day. It was a really bad day.
Then do better.
What did you think about the fact that Enzo told reporters to leave his factory because he didn't like how they portrayed him in the media?
Oh, I was a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciated that
Also,
interaction.
probably pretty true.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Get out. Nope, you're not doing it the way I like. Get out. Nope, I don't like your questions either. Get out. I wish I could apply that to life. That's good.
Did you know that, like, shortly after that, he was a part of starting an entirely new magazine because of how the media portrayed him?
I actually didn't know that until I read your notes from the movie.
Yeah.
And then I read that you wrote that in here to say. So, no, I didn't know that.
So what was the name of the magazine? Without looking, look at me. Look at me. Look at me. I am the captain now.
I don't remember. Speed something.
No, not even
Speed
close.
wasn't even the name.
Auto Sprint.
Auto Speed. It's the same thing.
Auto Sprint.
You sprint. It's speedy.
All right. So
I did know that he started a magazine. I just knew I didn't actually have an interest in reading the magazine, so didn't need to know what it was called.
I'm pretty sure it's been under for like 20 years.
Okay. Well, even better.
All right. So up to that point where Enzo kicked people out of the factory for how they portrayed him. Give me your nuggets. Your little nuggets, but not McDonald's nuggets because you don't have those.
Did the banana happen yet?
The what?
The banana.
What?
The banana.
What banana?
To the orphan.
No.
That didn't happen yet?
Not even close.
Okay. Enzo's mom.
Oh.
Can we talk about her for a second? She has like 4 lines in the entire movie, and she is savage.
She is an entire mood.
Yes, woman. Like, speak your mind. Nobody's getting in the way of what you think. Holy cow. The fact that she was like, the wrong son died.
Mm.
What?
Can you imagine?
Oh, what were some of her other gold ones? I meant to write them down, but I didn't. But she's a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
The whole movie, she's like that.
Do you think that she blames Enzo or resents Enzo for the fact that her favorite son died?
I don't think she blames Enzo, but I think she's just like, well, what a waste of life.
Yeah.
It's kind of the vibe I got from her. Like, this is what was left. Like, that guy passed, but this guy was left is the vibe I get from her, which is just savage. Okay, so that was one of my nuggets was, damn, mom.
Yeah.
Harsh.
His mom was pretty savage.
Yeah. Savage was the only word that came to mind. She had all of 3 lines, and they were all brutal. Also, McDreamy making an appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick Dempsey, for showing up. And I'm a fan of the white hair. This was good. All fresh in a new role.
Yeah.
Yeah, used to seeing him in Scrubs. It's good.
Oh, my. Did you really just make that reference?
Where else is he from?
Other movies?
Like what? I'm waiting.
Like other movies.
He will always be known as McDreamy for a reason.
McDreamy. That's boring.
I liked that nugget. It was a good one.
For you. Do you feel pressured into recording this episode tonight?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Well, imagine sitting in Enzo Ferrari's factory and he tells you during an entire news press, he wants to talk to you after the news press is over.
Then talk to me after the news press is over. Not right now.
Well, he did. He did that.
Okay.
So he told a news writer to start a rumor that Henry Ford is going to buy his company. Do you think that's true? Given his management style and his personality up to this point, do you think that is something he would do?
I don't see the political gain in it, so no.
No.
I don't see the political gain.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't see how that actually puts him further along. So no.
So what if he did not want Ford to buy the company? What if he was pushing Fiat, an Italian company, to buy the majority of his shares? Do you think that telling an Italian that an American was going to buy an Italian company, do you think that would push them to make a move?
No, I think it's I don't think it's upfront enough, and I think his style was a lot more upfront.
You don't think pressuring?
Not backwards like that, though. He's doing an underhand play based off of that, and that doesn't seem like his management style at all. Based off of everything that I've learned about him recently, that seems like the opposite of what he would do.
No?
Yeah. That's what I think. I think, no, he did not do that.
So what if I told you that Henry Ford, at the time, the Deuce 2, the Deuce the Second.
Huh?
What if I told you that Ford said that they didn't believe that Enzo really ever intended for Ford to buy them? Does it seem like maybe he was a bit more shady? Not even shady, just manipulative than you thought?
Oh, no, I've believed him to be manipulative the entire time. I just don't think he would do it by starting rumors.
Well, the truth is, we will never know.
Uh-huh.
Aha. I think this was a negotiation tactic. I think he did that to push Fiat to purchase a part of Ferrari.
And did it work in his favor?
We don't know. We'll never know. That's the whole point of a negotiation tactic.
So who ended up buying a portion of the company?
Fiat.
Okay, so it sounds like maybe it did work in his favor.
Yeah. You'll honestly have to speculate because we will probably never know.
Except we do know because it did work in his favor. We do know.
Well, there you go.
Whether he started or his admin started the rumor or whether Laura started the rumor, I wouldn't put it above her. She'll do anything. She's crazy. So.
No such thing as a crazy woman.
Oh, yeah?
Moving along in the movie, the way that Laura looks at Enzo and Lena's house, it has me crying inside.
It was intense for sure. I think that, especially when she found the car, the toy car, she was it almost made it seem like that was her son's toy that she found. That had been Dino's toy at some point, especially the fact that it was so worn. I wonder if that was Dino's toy at some point, and then Enzo brought it over.
That's a hot take.
That's what I was thinking. I thought maybe this was Dino's toy, and he ended up giving it to Piero because his son, was dead. So yeah, for her to find that out there and then just be like, who the heck is this? Yeah.
Yeah, so I have no idea if that is true or not. Like, so little is written about Laura's life, but people who have had conversations with her have said that she was that intense. So I can't do anything but wonder if it's true or not.
I mean, I can't imagine that there is a woman out there who would find out about, some secret affair or whatever and wouldn't drive to the location of whatever clue was left. Quite honestly. So that didn't surprise me at all. That seemed like the appropriate action to take at that point. But yeah, her face and just like the emotion portrayed in that scene were, yeah.
Talk about heartbreaking.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of heartbreaking,
part of me wishes that she got to meet Piero and that
she did.
She ended up falling in love with him. Like that would have been...
Yeah, that didn't happen.
No, clearly. But that would have been, I feel like, very healing for her if her heart had been open enough for that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's really fair.
So yeah, you wrote in here too, like, Laura stole the toy from Lena's house?
Yeah.
What? And I'm like, pretty sure that was Dino's toy. But you also didn't see that like the flashback was the flashback to like them as a family.
Yeah.
Until you looked it up. So I think that.
Yeah. You actually caught on to a lot more of the emotional side of things.
Who would have thunk?
Who would have thought?
I hate emotional movies, you guys.
'Cause she lives them.
Makes me feel it too much.
Talk about emotional. Do you remember when Lena was very intense over Piero's last name?
I do.
That also hit me right in the feels. Right in the heart. Because I don't know how true that is, but at the time, divorce was illegal in Italy. So even if Enzo wanted to, he couldn't give Piero his last name.
From a mother's perspective, I don't give a crap.
That's pretty fair.
Whether it's illegal or what. Like, this is your son. This is my son. Like, from a mother's perspective, I don't think it matters what the laws are. I think that a mom's going to fight for her son or her daughter's rights, no matter what.
Yeah, that's fair. So
any good mom.
So Lena would see Piero get the Ferrari last name. She would live to see that.
Yippee.
But Laura would not.
Well, that was her wish too.
That's true. 20 years.
I'm just sad it took another 20 years.
What about where Enzo was sitting at the Cavallino restaurant and told the drivers, if one of you get into my car, you're in it to win it, pretty much. Nobody forced you. Do you think he did that on purpose to like boost DiPertago or the Silver Fox's ego? Because he has a very, very aggressive management style. Do you think that was on purpose?
I think his intention was like a good old facing the Giants pep talk.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a poor execution.
Fair enough. What about right after that, when Laura called Enzo asking about Lena?
Honestly, if I were him, knowing that Laura just asked for her gun back, I would have run to Lena's house. Like, she left just enough to the imagination. I need to think about this.
Yeah.
Yep. She gonna die.
Yeah, no. She had him a bit cornered there, didn't she?
She did. Well played, woman. Well played. I'm surprised that he didn't move a little quicker and he was just like, oh, Laura found out. What was it? That's all he said to his buddy. Like, you know Lena's dying right now, right? You know that, right?
So here's a big point in one of our previous episodes and also in the movie. What was it like to see in a cinematic film the kiss of death?
That's not what caused all the death. So, also, as I previously stated, dead bodies are a lot more pale. But devastating. It was devastating.
Could you imagine?
No.
Okay.
And the fact that the little family there and their little kids ran out and then their kids died in that little thing, that was sad.
Yeah.
That was real sad. That person chopped in half, though, like, they would be white, not brown. And there would be a lot more blood.
A lot more blood.
There was not enough blood.
Yeah. Which goes back to the whole CGI was a little
Lackluster.
Little iffy. But overall, the entire situation that we watched was actually pretty accurate.
It was just so fast. It just happened so fast.
As
and I
things
think that
do in motorsports.
Right, yeah. And I think that that's the part in both of the crash scenes, like the one in the practice laps or whatever, and then also at the end, I'm like, that was abrupt. Now how do we process that? Like, that's going to take a minute to sink in for sure.
Yeah. And just a reflector in the middle of the road caused a bunch of people, and honestly, a lot of kids, a lot of children to die.
Yeah. Well, and the other part of that is at the end of the race, they're all celebrating because they don't realize what had happened yet. And that was crazy to me to realize, like, now we have our cell phones. We, like, everything is filmed. Every second of the race is filmed. And back then it couldn't be. And so you get to the end of the race, McDreamy wins and has no idea that so many people behind him have just died.
Yeah. I mean, so 4 adults and 5 children died.
No. I don't want to play anymore.
So
this is why our kids can't go to Monster Jam.
They are going to Monster Jam. And they can go to Monster Jam. She's just being dramatic.
Or the Indy 500.
They're going to that
They're
too.
not going.
They're going to that
ever.
too.
Motorsports are dangerous.
So, do you think that Laura, if you're American, do you think she really cashed that $500,000 check and then handed Enzo the cash?
If this was a real deal, absolutely did she cash it? Yes, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah. Did she hand it to him? No. Maybe. I don't see why, but maybe because she is unhinged. So she could have done the unexpected and have given it to him, but I absolutely think she cashed it. She was like, you told me I couldn't? Well, I did anyways. Tell me I can't do something. Shoot you in the knee for real.
What about at the very end where she was talking, begging, pleading with Enzo to not give Piero the Ferrari last name while she's alive. Do you think that a grieving mother would do that to another child who is arguably at this point the rightful heir?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do.
Why?
Well, because her child just died. And she just made it very clear that like she blames Enzo for that, and he should have been able to save Dino in her mind, and he didn't, and he failed, and because of that, like their one like true gem was lost.
Yeah.
And so for him to then like pass that along to somebody else who is not even rightfully his in her mind, yeah, no, for sure, I can absolutely see how she would ask that of him. Do I think it's right? I don't know, but
well, we will never really know if it was right.
Right.
Do you think that Enzo really took Piero to go see Dino's grave?
No.
No?
No.
I don't either.
I don't either. You know how many times Piero had to ask for that guy's autograph?
That's pretty fair.
You know what? You've blown this guy off 17 times. Meanwhile, your son has begged you for his autograph at least 3 times. It finally gets to the point where he's chanting in the window just to get your attention, Dad, to please do the one thing that really means a lot to him. Like, he's freaking hidden in a forest, for God's sake. He just wants this guy's autograph. No, I don't think he took him to go see Dino. He doesn't care. I don't think. I think he's very focused on one thing, and it's not his child. And that's okay. But, yeah, no.
So, were there any little like nuggets or talking points that you had or that you were wondering about that we didn't touch on thus far?
I'm so glad you asked.
Oh, yeah. I knew you would be. I'm looking at a whole Post-it note. I'm sorry. What is that? A 3x5 card?
It's a note card. Everything is crossed out except for 3 little sentences ish. My very favorite part of the entire movie is written at the very top of this card. My very favorite part of this entire movie was when there was a little boy who was on the streets, little orphan boy, and the pit stop in the big race, what's his name, is eating the banana.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? You know, whatever his name is. The guy that Piero wanted the autograph for. The new fun kid. The new fun driver that Enzo didn't actually believe in. Anyways.
You were clearly paying attention.
I know which one he was. I just don't know what his name is. Anyways, he was eating the banana, and then he found out like, oh, you're in first and you're not a competition. She's like, oh, cool. So he hands off the banana back to the pit stop guy. And so the guy turns around to these like street kids, and he's like, here, do you want his banana? And it made this little boy's entire day and gave him the rest of the banana. I thought it was so cool.
That's like, pretty awesome.
That probably made that kid's life to be like, I'm eating a race car driver's banana. Not only am I getting a meal, but I'm also getting a race car driver's meal.
Imagine eating that banana and then realizing the next day that
we're not going to talk about that part.
He died.
No, stop. That was my favorite part of the whole movie. The other little things that I loved was the fact that the Maserati driver, after they got in their accident or whatever, they like drove off the little hill, boom, 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 down into the rock. That then,
can I get that sound effect again?
Then the Ferrari driver like stopped and was like, hop in, I got you, babe. And he rode back to the front with the Ferrari driver as his little passenger princess. I thought that was cute. I don't know if that's real or not, but I think that's a wonderful play. And I think well done on the Ferrari driver for making the stop and taking a fellow racer home instead of just like making him walk.
So I did a bunch of research on that, and I cannot verify if that was true or not.
Well, if I was the Ferrari brand, I wouldn't want to make it known that we were like also having, or if I was the Maserati brand, I wouldn't want to make it known that we also like rode home with Ferrari.
Yeah.
So
that's fair.
You know, it was probably kept on the hush hush if it was real, but if it was real, I appreciate both those players because, yeah. The last thing that I thought was kind of interesting was the fact that Piero was like 10-ish looking when the movie ended, which you said was in 1950 something, 56, 57, 54?
57.
57. Okay. And he started working at the Ferrari factory in 1967, which would mean he was like 1920 when he started working at the factory.
He was 19.
Laura didn't die till 1978.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yes. Yes, all of your thoughts here are very true.
So, I hope she cashed in on her $500,000 because he definitely didn't respect her wishes about it in that regard. So, which, I mean, I don't blame either of them, though, right? Like, I want Dad to be able to recognize his son, but also, like, you should have shot him in the knee, at least.
So, it was not...
Take the money, babe. He's not going to respect you.
So, it was not uncommon for Laura to see Piero around the Ferrari factory and call him a bastard or to cause a bunch of strife. And you are right. You are right. Piero was working around the factory when he was about 19-ish. But he would not take the Ferrari surname. He would not take the Ferrari last name until after Laura died.
Right, but everyone knew, and like obviously Enzo was bringing him around,
right,
and all the things. So like in every way, but the fact that his last name was Ferrari, like it was obvious that like he was Enzo's, and so in that regard, I'm just like, baby, take your $500,000 and just go. Just he's gonna do. You do what you need to do. I don't know. So I was just kind of like, I'm like reading the credits, like, what?
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
So I think so in my industry, so switching gears, I'm a midwife and
also an executive producer.
Also an executive producer of a podcast, which is super cool.
My favorite. My wife.
Which is a full-time job in and of itself.
Yes, it is.
We haven't mentioned the kids yet, but
yes, we did. We had
we haven't mentioned the fact that like raising our children is like a full-time job, but like you know, I have like 6 full-time jobs over here. Anyways, so being a midwife. So there's a show on Netflix called Call the Midwife, and in this show, I found so many like little fun things that it's amazing to reminisce how things were actually done back in the day, and there's a lot of truth that comes with it. And I think that this movie, so I'm obviously not a race car driver. I'm obviously also not into any portion of the car industry as much as I try to be supportive. It's not something I understand, but that's okay. But I think that this movie had a lot of cool little nuggets for people who do understand the car industry. And so if it was my industry, I think it would have been an amazing movie for me to watch. And it probably would have brought it up from a 2 out of 10 to more like an 8 out of 10.
I thought it was pretty good.
But it is his industry. And so thus it was already, what was it? What was your rating?
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Okay, see, so, but AJ likes emotional movies. So you got to like both those aspects in order for this one to be it for you.
The accuracy.
Because it definitely plays on the emotions, I think, for sure, too.
Yeah, for sure. And the accuracy, to my knowledge, was pretty good.
There were a lot of little details that I didn't understand that because, so when I watched it, AJ wasn't sitting next to me the whole time, but there were a lot of things that I was like, what the heck is happening right now? Like, what is this? That I'm sure he would have been able to explain to me, which is kind of cool. Like, specifically about the cars or about like the pit stops and things like that. Like, I think it's a very detailed movie.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to this, you are probably like me, a little bit of a Ferrari nerd. You will likely enjoy the movie.
Agreed.
9 out of 10.
2 out of 10. If you're not into cars,
We are going to call that, from this point forward, the Prancing Horse Podcast Guarantee. Anywhere between 2 out of 9 stars
2
out of 10.
and 9 is the Prancing Horse Podcast Guarantee. You've got a wide range, guys. You're not going to let us down. You'll land somewhere in the middle. If you give it a 10 out of 10, I want to know about it. If you give this movie a 10 out of 10, I expect a full report review on the Prancing Horse Podcast Instagram or Facebook or something of the other.
Send her an email. Jordan at prancinghorse.podcast.com.
If you send me an email, I will make a point to come hug you in person.
Oh. You know, we have listeners in like Australia.
Even better. Take me on a vacation, guys.
I need a
vacation.
We do have listeners in Australia.
No,
that
we
is
do
a thing.
not.
Yeah, I will.
I need to update myself.
Yeah.
Anyways, you guys, thank you for listening to our podcast today and our review of the new Ferrari movie. That's our news. Is there anything else new happening with Ferrari, or was that it?
Oh, we have lots of new things. We actually do. This week has been intense in the Ferrari world. This was supposed to be
it for our news episode.
No, this is a special series episode.
Oh, never mind.
Somebody did not read the prompt. But thank you guys so much for listening. Feel free to join us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You don't miss any of our new content. Also, make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and prancinghorse.podcast.com. And as always,
Forza Ferrari.
Forza Ferrari, baby.